Thank you and welcome back again. I'm your host Megan, and in the last episode we discussed flashcards, how to start teaching reading and speaking, and the problems that may occur when you begin teaching. Today we will move on to the next level. After the students learn new phrases, grammar, or vocabulary, they must have these lessons recycled so they see it again. Many students need to see a lesson or phrase at least 8 times before they begin remember them. The more you review, the better chance the student will remember it. Let's start with the basics. Lesson frameworks. In some schools, a teacher may be required to write his or her own lesson plans. Some teachers may write detailed ways of what they are going to teach, while others may submit a brief lesson plan. In order to become a more successful teacher, a teacher must prepare a lesson framework. A lesson framework is a guide of what is to be taught within a certain class during a term or semester and what the students are expected to learn. A good lesson framework will have 3 elements. 1. The classroom objectives. 2. A classroom goal. And finally, 3. A lesson plan. Once lesson objectives, goals, and plans are established and written, teachers will find that teaching classes will become easier. A teacher who knows what to teach and has a detailed plan of how to teach it will be successful. A lesson framework should begin with an objective. Classroom objectives. A learning objective is a statement of what students will be able to do when they have completed instruction. A learning objective has 3 major components. 1. A description of what the student will be able to do after the course is over. 2. The criteria for evaluating student performance. Construction of tests for assessing students. And 3. Development of an instructional strategy, methodology. A teacher must first look the above components and decide how he or she is going to teach and what the students should be expected to learn by the end of the class. A teacher must be able to know what the students should be able to do after they finish the course in order to be successful in passing the course. A test must be created that students should be able to pass if they follow the lesson plans and learn successfully. A teacher must be able to differentiate and decide how they will grade students and how students will be evaluated. Will the course be all oral exams or will it be only written exam? Methodology plays an important role, as the teacher must think about how he or she is going to teach the course. Adults are easier to teach than children, so lesson sequences will be different. Seating arrangements and more are very necessary in implementing lesson plans. An effective classroom objective may read: after the course, all students will be able to carry a conversation in English with full confidence. They will have 4 tests, 2 tests are prior and after the midterm test. They will be used as review tests for the midterm and final. The other tests are the midterm held after the 6th week and the final held on the last day. The tests will be multiple choice and fill in the blank for the first 3 tests. The final test will consist of a grammar, written, listening, and speaking test. The methodology will be a blended style of teaching depending on the students' needs. It will be adjusted according to their attitudes and wants. The classroom goal. A goal, unlike a lesson plan, is a realistic expectation of what you believe the students should be capable of doing after the class has finished. Let's say we are teaching a class about going shopping at a market. A goal would read something like this. At the end of the course, students should be able to confidently enter a market, ask for produce, directions, prices, and information about products with ease and confidence. When you successfully complete a goal, the teacher must then decide on lesson plans and lesson sequences. Lesson plans. When developing lesson plans, the teacher should first decide on the following 2 questions in order to prepare a lesson plan and sequence. What requirements do I need to teach the class? When planning courses, you have to decide what you need to teach this course. Of course, you probably need a book, but do you need handouts? Do you need a television, flashcards, audio player, whiteboard, etc.? It is best to plan 1 month ahead rather than 1 to 2 hours ahead of the class in case problems exist or arise. Ask yourself, is what I am planning to teach relevant to the class? While this sounds redundant, you have to look at what you are going to teach. Many vocabulary words that are being taught to students aren't used every day, and some are extremely hard to learn at best. When I first taught adults, I gave them 20 to 40 new words every week. One student complained the words were too difficult and wanted easier ones. I explained that in 1 year he would learn over 2,000 new words. He soon left the course. Today I realized that the words I was teaching were irrelevant to the course. You also have to look at the level at the class. You do not want to teach beginner English to an intermediate class. You do not want to teach clothing terms to a computer class. Find out what the type of class you are teaching and make it relevant to their needs. The lesson sequences. Lesson sequences go hand in hand with lesson plans. When you decide what you are going to teach, from a course book or your plans, you must decide how you will teach it in class in order to make the best use of your time. Younger children are the hardest to teach. They need constant readjustment and changing of the lesson plans. This would be a lesson sequence I used when I taught young children. Greetings. Review. New vocabulary. Songs. Word games. New word reviews. Review of past lessons. New word reviews. Songs. Goodbyes. As you can tell, the sequence of the lesson changes rapidly. This is because younger minds tend to wander and students get bored if lesson sequences last more than 5 minutes. One thing I discovered was not to allow the students to do coloring at the beginning of the class because you will never be able to control them. They will want to color the entire class. Use coloring reviews at the end of the class. Teenagers. Teenagers have a little longer attention span than smaller children. However, their attention span is around 12 minutes long. You should change the topic every 15 minutes or so. Greetings. Reviews. New lesson. Handouts. Review. Question and answer. During this period their attention span begins to get longer and they can focus for about 15 minutes, so the class lesson sequences can be changed to 2 to 3 times per hour to relieve boredom. They need constant feedback and reassurance that what they do is right and are not ridiculed by their fellow students. During this time they need to develop logical and rational thinking skills in order to discover how to solve problem situations, especially on tests. Adults. Adults, over 18, are easier to teach, especially students who is either career-driven or return back to school in order to achieve success. Many of these students are trying to improve their lives, so they hang on to every word the teacher says and try to rationalize it by using their own methods of remembering what was taught. Adults do not want to fail, they want to succeed for their own pride and personal advancements. They need to be instructed and treated like adults. Shouting and put-downs will immediately cause tension in the classroom and possible problems outside the classroom. Treat the adult students as equals and they will respond better to you. A typical lesson sequence for an adult would go something like this. Greetings. Reviews. New lesson. Handouts. Lesson review. Questions and answers. When the basics are established, the teacher must look at the relevance of the course and the course outline. Let's pretend we are making a course for an intermediate ESL class. The class is preparing for a TOEIC, Test of English for International Communication, test, so the students may be able to apply to universities in the United States. Some questions you may ask yourself before you start to teach a class. What is the goal of the teacher? The goal of the teacher is to ensure the students can carry a conversation and to be confident in talking to a foreigner without worry. How long is the course? If this is a short course, you must think about what really needs to be taught and how quickly. Let's say a class is planning a trip to Disneyland. What sentences do they need to know in order to have a pleasurable trip? Remember, when thinking of questions, you also have to give the answer. In this case, some slang and ethnic idioms may be necessary to be taught so the students can understand a local when traveling. In this case, you may want to teach spoken English more than written English. A few examples are listed below. I'm sure with a few hours of thinking you can think of many other question and answers for the students to learn for their trip to a foreign nation. Where is the bank? Bank can be replaced by different places. How far is it to the bathroom? What is the exchange rate? May have I have. Do you serve Korean food? What is the course objective? The course objective is to ensure all students will understand new vocabulary, be able to understand what they read, and improve their grammar skills. This will be through weekly word lists, grammar points, and writing. Students will also have the opportunity to improve their listening skills through audio tapes. The main course objective is to ensure all students receive high scores on their TOEIC test and be able to attend university in the United States. The teacher now must ensure that each day they have a detailed list of what they are going to teach daily. A list may look something like this: Monday vocabulary, Tuesday grammar, Wednesday listening, Thursday writing, Friday review of week's lessons. Each lesson plan is created by teachers, and each teacher has their own style and way to teach. Some teachers use a book and review past lessons as soon as the class begins, an activity to recall past lessons, and then into the book, and test once a month. The bottom line is that you get the students to learn and change your teaching styles, strategies, lessons as needed to ensure students learn. One might work for one class, will not work for another. One class will hate handouts while others will want more. You will have to discover this on your own as you teach. 90% of what you will learn will be in the classroom through trial and error. This series will get you on the right track. Well, we are about out of time today. Thank you for stopping by, and I hope to see you next week.
Thank you for joining this week. Please come back next week for more exciting episodes. As always, please like and subscribe. See you next week.